Hello all, welcome to this Thursday afternoon review. I have the lights on and my mic has changed position. Why have I done that? I want to go and change it up a little bit. And I don't know. I know it looks so ghetto. I got like the cardboard right there holding it up. There's also cardboard to kind of keep my chickens from pecking at the screen, trying to come in and whatnot. And yeah, so I'm sitting in the dark. You can see outside somewhat. Maybe a little bit more now. I don't know. You can hear the babies inside the coop keeping away. And we're going to review a beer. What beer are we reviewing tonight? Well, today we are going to be reviewing, well, again, from here, we're going to be reviewing the DeePah Double IPA from Waikiki Brewing Company. They brew this on occasion, so I think about once a year so far, and every time they do it, I think it's one of those ones where they change it up a little bit. One thing that stays the same is they use a massive amount of hops, and from the sample I tried, even though it's a double IPA, it definitely is one of those tongue-scorching IBU IPAs. So this particular iteration of it is 9.1 ABV. So yeah, half growler is going to get me pretty well soused. But I've eaten a very large meal, and I am ready for it. So let's get to this, shall we? I'm going to be pouring it into the craft glass today, because why not? Give it a nice vigorous pour here. So 3 different kinds of hops, last I checked. Let this warm up a little bit because it was kind of overly too much on the hoppy side when I had it cold at the growler fill place, Three Peaks. Coloration, as you can see here, very much almost amber to copper colored with an off-white to beige head, fairly thick for a double IPA. Big grapefruit. Grapefruit, mint, dankness, pine needles. Whew. Definitely tell there's cascade hops in here. Not too much. Actually, when you get past the lighting here, it's actually pretty well carbonated for something, one, that's out of a growler, and 2, is a double IPA. And palate-nukingly bitter from start to finish. Like, to the point where it's almost tannic on the tongue, like I'm drinking overly steeped tea, black tea. Underneath, you can taste the sweet malts, which have almost a caramelized kind of taste to it. But you don't really perceive the sweetness because of the intensity of the hop bitterness. Now, if I didn't know any better, I'd almost say that there was rye in the malt beer, in the malt bill here. There is no rye in the malt bill for this particular beer, but it does have that particular spiciness, which is probably from one of the hops being used. And there's also a candied sort of orange aspect to the malts as well. The real bitterness is actually not so much in the front. It's not very hop forward. And the malts kind of show up, and then in the long and lasting finish, that's when it almost feels like you're chewing on pine tar. Definitely also kind of boozy notes in the finish as well. I'm going to say it's 9.1, but it almost tastes like it could be stronger than that because of the booziness. There's very few times when booziness, when I say booziness, I almost say, it almost always means that sort of booze kind of taste. This one almost has a heat in the finish, too, down in the throat. So that's pretty boozy. It's also going straight to my head, despite the fact that I had a very large meal just a little while ago. Certain bready notes to the malts. It kind of comes, like I said, it really comes across as almost rye, because I would describe it as kind of a dark, kind of toasted rye bread sort of aspect to the maltiness there. Bitterness is just such a kick in the face when it appears in the mids there, and then slightly subsides. So, you know, in the front, you can taste the malts, and then boom, in the mids, pithiness, pine resin disappears, kind of subsides a little bit. And then the sugar kind of leaves the tongue from the malts, and you're just kind of left with, you know, you could like scrape off your tongue right now and like see almost the pine resin. This is definitely a sippin' beer, if there ever was a sippin' beer, if you know what I mean. All in all, though, you know, it sounds like I'm really making a lot of negative notes about this, about the intensity of the bitterness. But I'm almost thinking that the, not so much the intensity of the bitterness, but the density of the hopping. Well, probably shouldn't use the term density since that means something else in regards to beer making. But the amount of hops put into it really kind of created some interesting taste notes in the malts, as well as the fact that it seems like they use some darker malts in this rather than the regular kind of malts, you know, pale ale malts. And it's kind of created a very interesting double IPA. Not so much overly complex as, honestly, I'm kind of coming to see the double IPA and, for that matter, the regular IPA style as not so overly complex taste-wise, but just interesting in how that is different in, I haven't reviewed too many double IPAs because they tend to be hop and sugar bombs. You're just kind of walloped with bitterness and then kind of marmalade or sort of biscuity notes, overly sweet biscuit notes from the malts. Whereas this one, there's some like dimensionality and interesting things going on there. And like I said, not too complex, but worth inspecting. A slight deviation from how a lot of double IPAs are. By no means a perfect beer, but honestly, like I said, I've come to find a lot of double IPAs boring, which is why I very rarely review them anymore. And, well, I guess I kind of run out of things to say 10 minutes in, but Yeah, this one definitely, despite the booziness, despite the intensity of the hopping, it's probably worth a shot to go and try out, I think. It's not going to change your world, but it's definitely not kind of blah like a lot of double IPAs can be. So, the DeePah double IPA, IPA from Waikiki Brewing Company. Style is not really my thing anymore, but it's an interesting enough version of the style. Nothing too amazing though. That's our beer review for the week. I'll try to be reviewing something more interesting next week. I really need to get that gift that I got brought back from China for me reviewed, but I cannot translate the name of it, being that I don't know Chinese. So as soon as I get that done, it's going to get reviewed. Cheers.